you the web page rather quickly. Today, I'll spend a little bit of time to show you the web page and where you can find things. And then we move into accessing, Cayuse and submitting a project through Cayuse. So again, just to quickly summarize, to access the IRB web page from Oakland University main page, on the top bar, there is a link to research. You click on it. Then on the side, there is a link to regulatory compliance. You click on that, and then you get the IRB web page. We do have now, we updated this 2 days ago, just like, the office will be closed for the holidays for about, 2 weeks. We have at the beginning, some important messages from the IRB. Due to COVID, as you know, we stopped for about 18 months. We stopped all face-to-face research procedures. So now we have a process to resume, in-person procedures, or to allow, new submission that ask for in-person research procedure. And we have our guidance here linked to eSpace. I think I mentioned to you last time that at Oakland University, we're not allowed to attach documents straight to the web page. So we had to create an eSpace for the IRB, which is very similar to Moodle that you use for your courses. So in a few seconds, I'll show you eSpace. Then underneath it, there is the information about the online system Cayuse. This is the link to Cayuse. It's provided here and also provided in another tab below. You must use your OUNet ID to log in. This is the way Cayuse is set up at Oakland. You have to use your OUNet ID. And if you click on the link and you get an error message, that means you have not been added to the system. So if that happens to you, and this was one of the messages of the questions, that if you click on the link and you get an error message, that means like you're not in the system. So we tell you here, as you see, if you get an error message, please contact the IRB staff to add you to the system. And here is the contact information for the IRB staff, which really just these two people, myself and Kate, who works with me. Also here under the subheading Cayuse, we have a number of training presentations to help you use Cayuse as the online system to submit the IRB application. The instruction in using Cayuse PowerPoint presentation, this is the one I'm going to be using tonight. So we will go through this presentation. It's also the one we shared with you, I guess, earlier. Another, copy of the presentation is also available through eSpace. There's also a direct link to the Cayuse Help Center and precisely to the module that's related to researchers. Cayuse have an excellent help center, except it is huge because Cayuse, in addition to offering a system for the IRB, they offer system for animal care and use, a system for biosafety, etc. So, and then even within the IRB module, which is the topic of our interest tonight, within it, they have many different presentations, one for IRB members, one for IRB administrators. So to make it easy for researchers, I have provided on our webpage a direct link to the module that's important for researchers. So you don't have to dig through the stuff, just click on this link and you should be able to access the module for researchers. Please note, you need also to create an account to access Cayuse Help Center. At least that's what they told us, the way it is till January. Then hopefully they're going to merge. So whenever you create a login, to Cayuse, when you create, your login, that should also give you access to the Help Center. However, that's not going to happen. We're promised that that will be the case in January. So for now, and my recommendation to all researchers, uh, because you need, like you must use your OUNet ID in order to access Cayuse. I highly recommend you use your OUNet ID also to, access, to create an account in Cayuse Help Center and also in eSpace. Um, in eSpace, you also need to create an account in order to access the material in eSpace. After that, we have some general information regarding, the role of the IRB and our federal-wide assurance with the Department of Health and Human Services, stating that all research involving the use of a human or their identifiable research information, as we addressed last Tuesday. So any human subject research would be reviewed by the IRB before it is submitted. Then we have multiple tabs. I would like to bring your attention to the first tab, submission requirement. I don't know if we looked at that last time, but under this tab, when you click on this tab, you will get all the information you may need to know: who can apply, how to apply, all the details for the city training requirements. It's valid for 3 years, the different courses we have, the login, what you need to do to log in and what to access. I think we covered this last time. Some tips before, before submitting the IRB in Cayuse, mainly, to develop all the component of your research, to work with your faculty advisor, before and make sure, everything is approved before it is submitted to the IRB. Our timeline for exempt projects, usually it depends on the quality of the submission. If the submission contains all the information that's needed by the IRB, the submission could be really completed within days. In 95% of the cases, there is something missing, and we will have to open the submission for you to make changes. If the project requires review by an IRB member through an expedited review for minimal risk research, or if the research involves more than minimal risk, then it has to be reviewed by the entire committee. Usually with the expedited, we give IRB members 10 business days to provide the review. So it may take, a couple of weeks based on your response. It's really a collaborative work between collaborative process between the IRB and the researchers. So the sooner you respond to our comments, the sooner the review will be completed. After approval from the IRB, there may be some post-approval submission you need to do. We'll cover that today when we work with Cayuse. And I think I mentioned to you last time that we do have only students, staff, faculty, they have free access to Qualtrics that's supported by Oakland University. Quickly, I want to show you our eSpace. I think I showed it to you last time, but just a quick review. So any link to eSpace, will take us to the IRB eSpace. Again, you need a login account. The first time you access it, it's gonna be like a gray screen with an enroll me button here at the center. You click on it, and then you will be able to access the IRB forms and template library. So really here we save all of our guidance, SOPs, additional forms, templates that are maybe required for IRB submissions. So you see it's divided into sections. We start with just some general updates and guidance, mainly regarding COVID, most of the information here. As you see, we have special guidance for doing in-person research indoor, another guidance to do in-person research outdoors, etc. Then we do have our PowerPoint presentations. Last time we covered IRB regulation and processes. Today we will be looking at instruction in using Cayuse as the online system. Then we have sections related to Cayuse. So while we are working on our IRB submission in Cayuse, there'll be instruction in Cayuse that guide us to come to click to come to eSpace and download certain forms that may be applicable to the research we're doing, or tables, or certain templates for advertisement and the consent form templates. We highly encourage you to use our templates because they contain all the elements that are required by the regulations. So it facilitates the review process. So the instructions will be in Cayuse. The link to eSpace will be in Cayuse. We tell you exactly what documents you need to download. And as you see, they are named per section. So this is the section in Cayuse. In addition, we have the legacy. These are projects that were in our old system, IRBnet, and we moved them to this system. So that's really not relevant to you guys. However, I'd like to bring your attention to some guidance we put together to help our researchers while they're working on their research. So we have some guidance to what we allow. Oakland University IRB allows under exempt category 1 educational research. So we really allow for a lot. I don't know if you recall, that's the only exempt category that researchers are allowed to interact and do like little interventions with children. Otherwise, interaction and intervention using children is not exempt, except for category number 1, which is educational research. So we allow, like I wrote a procedure that really allowed our researchers to do a lot. So you could conduct interviews, you could do recording, you could do, educational intervention to assess, for example, the effectiveness of a certain instructional technique. Again, it must match or fit under the description of exempt category 1 that we looked at last Tuesday. We have, for researcher, when they use their own students, we have some guidance there. If you're going to be working using the internet, so that includes even administering an online survey, you're encouraged to take a look at this guidance. We give you also in this minimizing hacking for online survey. Really, we worked on this one with the researchers. Some of our researchers, that their surveys got hacked and they were offering incentive. And really, we had to deal with this issue. So whatever we learned, we put it together as some guidance for you guys. So, if you're doing online survey, take a look at this guidance because it may give you some, insights as how you need to do your research. And so on. Okay, the rest we can skip. Okay, so let me go back to, so now we're in eSpace. Let me now, I opened the PowerPoint presentation earlier. So this is what we're gonna do today. We're gonna look at the following topics. I'm gonna show you the Cayuse training that's relevant to researchers. We'll view like a short introductory video. And then I'm gonna use Cayuse training site, which is really identical to the production live sites that we use for our, for your submissions. It's just because, I can play with it and we can do test projects, etc. So we will submit an initial study and then I'll show you how to view IRB comments and how to respond to them. Then let's say the project get approved. Where would you find the approval letter? And usually the IRB, when we approve a project, we date stamp the approved version of the consent form or / the information sheet. That's important. I know sometimes, you know, you use PDF versions, so really we cannot stamp it, but it's important just at least to keep version control of the approved documents. So if you need to make changes, then you know, you made changes on this date, then you need to use the correct version, the most recent approved version of the consent form. And that's really very important because you always want to have your participants to be well informed and have the most correct information about the research you're doing in order for them to make an informed decision whether or not to participate in the research. Then after we do an initial submission, we're gonna do like post-approval submission. So I'll show you some things about how to do modification renewal. We already covered the eSpace, where you can find additional IRB forms and template library. We're gonna skip the legacy studies and Cayuse terminology because really these are projects that were transferred to Cayuse from our old system, IRB Net, and we compared the language, IRB Net language to Cayuse, terminology. So throughout the presentation, I'll try to define some of the terminology that Cayuse use and what it means. Excuse me. So let's start by visiting Cayuse Help Center. As I told you, you need to have a login information. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. This is the link in my PowerPoint presentation. That's the link to the entire Cayuse. Oh, okay, I left it. So that's really the entire support, Cayuse support, which I told you it has so many modules. Maybe I should just remove this from here. But I have here, like as you see, a link to the specific module that relates to researcher. So here it is. So you see, we went from the entire help center. I'm sorry.
This is Emily. I don't think your screen is changing, even though you're talking about a different screen. I'm not sure if we're seeing the same thing that you're seeing.
Oh, okay.
It's still on one of the eSpace screen.
Okay. So, okay, I'm gonna stop sharing and then, okay, I wanna share my entire share screen. 1% at a time. Okay, sharing option. I want to show you my entire screen. It did not give me that option. Okay, let's see. Okay, you know what? Here, I think this is now. Can you see? Okay, so let me. Can you see researcher studies and submissions?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so this is where we went through that PowerPoint. Okay, so you even didn't see my PowerPoint presentation? Okay. Okay, you guys didn't see this earlier? Okay, so this is the instruction in using Cayuse. That's what I was talking about. These are the topics I mentioned that we're gonna cover. We'll do, I'll show you the training side. Then we'll do a new submission and, all the additional issues. So this is the link to the entire Cayuse support system. We really, to make this easier, I have a direct link to the module that relates to researcher. So let's click on this one. The very first time you click on this, it's going to ask you for a login information. So as we said, if you want, use your OU Net ID to log in. So we went from the entire help center to the human ethics, which is the IRB. And then within the human ethics, I'm just showing you the module that relates to researchers, the way you create studies and you do your submissions within Cayuse. So what we're gonna do, let's quickly watch a quick introductory video, and then we'll go from there, okay?
Can I just check, is there supposed to be sound to this video, Judah?
Oh yeah, you cannot hear?
We can.
Oh gosh, all right. Well, it is at the highest.
When you share your screen, there's a little checkbox that says make sure you allow sound or something at the bottom. I'm wondering if resharing it and checking that box would help with the sound issue.
Do that.
Yes, in the pops out window,
okay,
letting you select the screens.
Okay.
There's a little checkbox there.
Did I miss it again? I'm sorry. It double click. Okay.
When you click on the share screen button from Zoom,
okay,
and there's a pops out window. Yeah.
Okay.
And
okay,
there are a
share
lot of
sound. I
buttons.
found it. Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Then screen, then share. All right. Okay. I assume because you could hear me, you could hear it. Yeah, sorry. I usually use Google Hangouts. I'm not very familiar with Zoom. So let's try again. Okay.
As a researcher, you can use your IRB dashboard to navigate to your tasks, submissions, and studies. The left-hand menu will provide quick links to your dashboard, studies, submissions, and upcoming tasks. Your submissions are separated by status at the top of your dashboard. All submissions with the status in draft are currently being completed by your research team. All submissions with the status awaiting authorization are waiting for certification or approval from the principal investigator or chair. Pre-review submissions have been sent to the IRB office, and the IRB analyst is in the process of approving the submission for the reviewers. If a submission is under review, a review type and committee or reviewers have been chosen, and the submission is awaiting a decision from the committee or reviewers. Once your submission has been sent to certification or submitted to the IRB office, it can be returned to your research team at any point for clarification or edits. Beneath the study statuses are categories for the studies and submissions that you are involved in. My Tasks lists any specific tasks that you are responsible for. Completing any of these tasks advances a submission through the workflow. Submissions by type separates your submissions by the type of submission that they are. You can click each number to view a list of submissions. At the bottom of your dashboard, categories will alert you of studies that have been approved, studies that are about to expire, and studies that have expired. Within any study category, you can click on the study number to see the study details page, or view all to see all studies within the category. For more information on Cayuse IRB, use the left-hand menu to view the Help Center, release notes, or tutorials.
Okay, so just to show you quickly how helpful the site, really, this is how I learned Cayuse. We implemented Cayuse March 2020, and the day the governor issued the stay-at-home order. So really, we had to do everything to learn this whole system mainly by ourselves. So just to show you how easy it is, like they made their how helpful their help center. So for example, how to create a new study. So they take you step by step, as you see, with screenshots, you know, in order to create a study. So it's really very, very helpful site. But for our sake today, I'm gonna use, you know, I'll submit a study with you, and we will use our the Cayuse. Let me see. I just need to try to. I'm having a hard time accessing my tabs that on the top. Can I move this thing? Okay, I don't know. Let's see if I can have different outline. So I'm there. Okay, let me close this one, then we'll get closer. Close my email. It's this one. Okay, so I'm gonna log in to the training site, as I told you. And when you create your login and you log into Cayuse, this is what you're going to see. Let me see if I can make this. Just try to minimize it. So, so can you see my entire screen here? I have a different module on the research administrations. The one we're interested in is this one, the Cayuse IRB. Here, my information, I am a faculty too. That's, you know, my name is Frank faculty in this test. If, you know, I need to log out, I can log out. So you're okay? You could see all of this? If somebody, yeah, I cannot see your faces, guys.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Because there are a lot, like I need to see my entire screen in order to show you the entire thing. All right, so we click on our interest is Cayuse IRB. So similar to what you just watched in the video, we have these 4 panels that show you the status of the submission, you know, until the submission is approved, then it will appear down here under approved studies. Just quickly in the video, they had this menu tab. Instead of the menu tab, they changed their system since, and now they have everything on top as a tool bar. So we're in the dashboard where you could see the submissions. In your case, as a new users to Cayuse, you're not really gonna have, you know, much of submission. You're not, you know, everything here should be 0 for you. But because I'm, you know, been using this for a while to do these training sessions, then I have a lot of them, a lot of studies here, as you see. You could search for a study eventually. You click, you know, could search by the IRB number, by the PI names, etc. In Cayuse, they have the concept, they use studies versus submissions. Study is more like your project. You want to do a project that has a certain title. And the very first thing you do in Cayuse, when after you create like the title, you add the title of your project, you have to do an initial submission. So submission are, you know, that are within a study. You start with an initial submission. After the initial submission is approved by the IRB, you may need to come back to the IRB to do some modifications. Let's say you want to add more researcher to your project, or you want to do one more survey, or you want to change the questions of the surveys. All these will be modification to your approved project. Then you submit modification submission. Now within your studies, you're going to have 2 submissions, initial and modification. And I'm going to show you throughout, you know, the presentation today how we do this. But really, like if you compare it with a tree, study will be like the trunk of the tree, and submissions will be like the branches of the tree. They still all belong to one project, to one study, as Cayuse, you know, name them studies, versus the submissions within the study. So again, just quickly, the person who creates the project in Cayuse will be called primary contact. This is what Cayuse call them, PC, primary contact. And at that time, the study will appear in this panel because it is still in draft. You need to complete all the sections. The IRB form at Oakland University is a smart form based on your responses. You say yes, some additional sections may appear. You say no, some sections may not appear. So after you complete all of the required questions within these sections, then you will find that you will need to submit the project. Before submitting it, you have to authorize it or certify it, quote unquote. All these terminology, it's mean like you're approving it or you're signing, electronically signing to say, you know, that you have completed the submission and it's ready to move forward or to route it forward in order to submit it to the IRB. Then after, so when you complete everything and you do the you complete all the submissions, it's going to appear in this panel waiting for authorization or approval or certification. They choose these terminology interchangeably in Cayuse. So the project will appear here. It means, you know, it needs approval. Usually initial submissions need to be approved by all of the following: the principal investigator, the PI, and the PI could be a student who is working under the supervision of a faculty advisor, or it could be a faculty. So the PI, principal investigator, PI, needs to authorize, to approve. The co-PI, Cayuse treat PI, co-PI exactly like PI. So the co-PI will also need to certify if you have identified anyone as a co-PI. Then if, again, we said if the PI is a student, then the faculty advisor needs to certify. Then the project moves into the, what they call, Cayuse calls organizational approver. And these are the chair of the department or the dean of the school. So in your case, with your department, it is Dr. Rebecca Lay. I think she's the chair of your department, and she will be eventually, let's say you are, the students are the PI, let's say Tanya is the faculty advisor. So after you guys do all the certification, the application will be routed to the chair of your department to certify. Please note that through the process, you know, when the project is, you know, moved, is routed from one place to another in Cayuse, all important members of the research teams and all those, you know, who need to be notified will be automatically notified. So after authorization, everybody, you know, authorizes or approves the submission, it will appear in the IRB administrator panel. This is myself and Kate. This is where we conduct the pre-review, or we can conduct the entire exempt review. And if the project needs to be shared with an IRB member, then it's going to appear in this panel. If we have comments from the IRB member, or if we do have comments, we wanted to make it changes, then the project will appear again here in draft because it's been reopened and you need to address, to make it changes, address our comments. And when you close it and you're ready to submit it, it goes straight to the IRB. It does not have to go to the chair of the department or the dean of the school anymore. It is just the PI, and if the PI is a student, is the faculty advisor. So these are our panels. So let's start by submitting a new study. Before I move, you see this question mark down here, and also on the top by my name. These link you to Cayuse Help Center. So while you're working in Cayuse, you have, you know, continuous access to their help center. Also, when you're working for the first time with the system, Cayuse comment boxes appear to tell you exactly what you need to do next. For me, they may not show because I use Cayuse a lot, so they may not show. But you'll see when you start working with Cayuse, you see like some comment boxes appear to tell you, click on this or click on that. They try to guide you as much as possible. Okay, so that's our dashboard. Let's start by submitting a new study. So you see the button here, the blue button on the right side. We click on it and see we already have two bars on the top, study details, and then you have these submissions that we said these are submissions within a study. For now, there is nothing there because really we haven't done anything. So we're in the study details page, we call it, versus, you know, the submissions details page. So the first thing we need to do after clicking on new study is to enter a title for the study. Then you click on the check mark and see, I told you sometimes it gives us some guidance comments. So it says here, begin your initial submission. Look what happened. That blue button now changed from a new study to new submission because we have created our study and now we need to start with the initial submission. If I click on it, it only gives me one option, which is the initial submission. And that makes sense because really I cannot do modification or renewal or submit an incident report if something goes wrong and I need to report it to the IRB. I cannot do any of that unless I have an initial submission that's approved by the IRB. Before I do the initial submission, I'd like to introduce, so I'm just going to close the comments and just to show you this, this is study detail page. You see, we have a flag. The flag tells us the status of the study. It's been unsubmitted. Right away, you're going to get an IRB number. Because we are in the training side, we have the train next to the number. You can always edit the title within the study. You can edit your title. Let's call it test 11, 16, 21. And again, I have to check on the check mark to have it in. But so far, like you see their information, but they're empty because we haven't really done anything. And you see the section below. This section is we're gonna have more tabs as we go along with our submission and as the application is routed, you know, to the IRB and back from the IRB. Okay, so let's start with our submission. New submission, initial submission. That's what we need to do. Again, it looks pretty much similar to our study detail page. The number is going to be the same. It's the number of the study. The title is the same. Again, you know, you need to maintain the number and the title the same because it's one study. The flag for this submission now. So you see under the flag is giving me the type of the submission. This is initial submission. It tells me it's been unsubmitted. And we already now have some, you know, you see task history appeared. And I'll show you after we routed how it gets populated. It tells you exactly when it was submitted, when it received by the IRB, etc. So this is our how submission looks like, the initial submission in Cayuse. I like very much these required tasks because right away it tells me what I need to do. So you see here, we have one that's been crossed, assign PC. PC, if you recall, it's primary contact. So this is the person who creates the project in Cayuse. So regardless of it, you know, I could be the only researcher on this project. Because I created it in Cayuse, Cayuse named me the primary contact, and I still need to assign myself as the primary investigator or the PI. So it's just a terminology Cayuse uses because a lot of faculty, you know, may use their research assistant or sometimes their student to do the submission for them. That's why Cayuse distinguish between the person who's completing the submission and the person who is the principal investigator of this research project. Now, clicking on assign PI or complete submission will take me exactly to the same place, and that is the Auckland University IRB application. Everything we've seen up till this point is Cayuse. So any institution that uses Cayuse as their online system, you're going to see exactly the same thing. To access the Auckland University Cayuse, we need to click on one of these. So let's click on complete submission. And some people, just to bring to your attention, complete submission, some people confuses the terminology. that you're ready to complete your submission. Like, you know, and I received emails, it's like, I'm not ready to complete the submission. They think like, you know, it's gonna be submitted. It's just the terminology Cayuse uses. This means this is where you need to click in order to, you know, complete and all the sections in order to submit your IRB. All right, so now you see we have a blue bar on the left called sections, and then the section appears in the center. What you're seeing now is Oakland University IRB application. This is the application we created in Cayuse. As I told you, we made it as a smart form. We start with section 0, which includes general instructions. So a lot of the issues some of the issues I covered during our last talk on Tuesday. A lot of the issues I covered like earlier today regarding city training, or where you find regulations, our e-space, and there is actually in the life side there's more. You find more instructions. So we thought it will be helpful, since it is a new system. Excuse me, to have everything available for you there while you're working on it. So you can always go back to the general instruction in section 0 in order to figure out sometimes, like, you know, if you have any questions, check to see if we have the response for it in section 0. In Cayuse IRB form, we have some required questions, and these are marked by the red asterisk, as you see here. In order for you to proceed from one section to another, you need to respond to all of the required questions that are marked with the red asterisk. So I say yes, look what happened. A check mark appeared here. This means I have responded to all of the required questions in section 0. And now I can move to the next section. I can access the next section either from here or by clicking on this advanced arrow down here. So the next section, I'm going to do a few sections with you. These are really the introductory sections that, based on your responses to these sections, is going to determine if this submission is going to go as in the exempt route, or it's going to be reviewed as expedited, or if it's going to be reviewed as a full board project. So I'm going to do about 7 sections with you, and then you know, I'll use one that I completed before. Okay, so principal investigator, the PI. Now, at Oakland University, the PI, co-PI, faculty advisor, these individuals must be added to the Cayuse application using find people option. And in order to find people, they must be, these individuals must be affiliated with Oakland University, whether student, staff, or, you know, they have some adjunct position, and they must have oakland.edu account. You know, in order again to be able to add you to add all these individuals to Cayuse. So through find people option, so I am Frank faculty. So let me type Frank. Then I click on the search. Here I am. I need to click on the plus to add me, and then on save. And look what happened. I'm added. All my information are here. And city training, required training, if it is completed using your oakland.edu email address, then it will be automatically linked into Cayuse. And if I click on view, if I were in the live side, I will find Frank faculty city training down here. Because we're in the training, we don't have the function active. But you see, you know, all of your information are there. You do not need to, you know, create it or to attach your city training. Then we try to find the status of the PI. In your cases, you have to choose a student. Students at Oakland University must have a faculty advisor who's also OU personnel. in order to conduct the research. Then you need to find the name of your faculty sponsor in the same, let's say Judith is the faculty sponsor for this research. Here is Judith. I'll click on it and then click on save. And you see my faculty advisor information appears automatically. If I'm not a student, let's say just for the sake of this submission, I'll choose like the easier option. So I'm a tenured faculty, so I'm fine. I don't need a faculty advisor. Then you see my primary contact. This is the person who created the project. So my name appears again here, and I'm just gonna add any number in order to proceed. So again, look, the check mark appeared, and it's really very important for the, to make sure the check mark appears. If it doesn't appear, it means like sometimes it allows you to proceed, but if the check mark doesn't appear, you won't be able to route it. When you're ready to route, you won't be able to route it. So then you have to, yes?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask a question about this part. So, for example, when I try to put Mandy in, I've tried Mandy and Amanda, her maiden name, her current name, and she doesn't pop up at all.
Because she's not in the system. So you need, like if you search for somebody through Find People option and you do not find them, it means they have not been added to Cayuse.
Okay.
So shoot me or Kate an email with the list of the name of your students, their oakland.edu email address, and we will add them in the system. It takes 24 hours after we add the name. It takes 24 hours for the name to appear in Cayuse.
Thank you.
Okay? And all this information, we have it on the webpage under Cayuse. So we say, like, if you search for somebody through Find People option and you do not find them, please contact the IRB staff. So
okay, I have a follow-up question. So contacting IRB faculty is the only way to add people to the system, to Cayuse? Is this the only way?
Contacting IRB staff to contact me or Kate, not your faculty. Yes, okay. It's the only way. This is how they did the system at Oakland University. They wanted to use the single login because, as you saw, IRB is not the only module. We also have the grant units. They're also adding animal care and use. They're adding biosafety. Let's say you're doing research and collecting blood or subjecting people to X-ray machine, for example. Then in this case, they wanted the researcher to have one login to be able to access all of our modules. So the only way to add you, if you get an error message, whether when you try to log into Cayuse or when you're in the system and trying to add people through the Find People option, in both of these cases, please contact me or Kate, as I said, with the information, the name of the individuals, their oakland.edu account, the department, especially if you're a student, we need to know who's your faculty advisor and your department and school. Then, we add all that information in Cayuse, and the name will appear after 24 hours.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, so the next section is type of applications. Please note that at Oakland University, our initial submission is used to submit not just the main application, which is like maybe 95% of people submit, which is our initial submission that could be exempt, expedited, or full board. In some cases, researchers are doing research, but they're not really using human subject research. You're only getting de-identified information that you have no ability to link it back to individuals. As we talked last Tuesday, then we can make a determination that this is not a human subject research. Or if you're doing quality assessment, for a program that's going to be used internally only by Oakland University in order to advance, certain educational programs or services, etc. However, you need a letter from the IRB. For you as a student, graduate students, the graduate office needs a letter from the IRB. Most publishing agencies require a letter from the IRB if the project seems to involve human or their data. So in this case, you need to check the second option, and you get the NHSR, not a human subject research determination form. The third option we have is when you're working on collaborative research and the IRB of the other institution has already approved the project. Then we don't have to do a dual review. Instead, we enter into an agreement with the other institution to declare their IRB as the IRB of record for this collaborative project. In this case, we have to say, well, was it expedited? Then you get the applicable form. Was it exempt? You get another form, etc. The fourth one is when people want to report a case of non-compliance. So if somebody started doing human subject research without IRB approval, then they need to, complete this form reporting cases of non-compliance. For our case, for this presentation, we're gonna use the initial submission, regular, submission, and then we ask you for city training, mainly for individuals who really either are not in Cayuse or they are not Oakland University personnel. You may have collaborators or some investigators from other institutions that we cannot add to Cayuse because they don't really have Oakland EDU account. So in this case, you say, some are not OU personnel and you need to attach their training. So here I'll show you how the attach button works. Because in a lot of sections, we'll ask you to attach. Like, for example, you need to attach. Remember, we said the IRB needs to review all documents that you're going to be viewed or given to human participants. So you would need to attach your recruitment material, consent form, survey questionnaires, interview, whatever, everything. So the way the attach button works, you click on attach, and then you click on the plus sign. You could attach a link or you can add a file. Please do not attach Google documents because it's hard to maintain version control. Use either, let's go to desktop to show you. Use either Word documents or PDF file. Either one of these is okay. So let's see, let's just use something. Okay, so here I chose the document I want to attach. Then I click on apply, and here it is. If I attached it by mistake, this is a wrong document, I click on X and it will disappear. If I'm trying to attach a document and I get an error message, it means that the title, the name of the document is too long. Please pay attention to this. Cayuse have some limitation as to the name of the document you're trying to attach. So if you get an error message while you're attaching, it means try to make the title of the document shorter, and then it will be attached. Okay, so for the sake of this one, I'm gonna say not applicable. Then now we need to move to identify who else other than the principal investigator, the PI, and the faculty advisor, who else is there, as part of the research team. Simply, you could say no, that you have no one else. And as you see, you move to the next section. If you say yes, then you have to specify their role. Again, remember with co-PI is treated exactly like the PI. So they need to certify. So if the co-PI, let's say from a different department, then you need, after you complete this entire form, which about 20 sections total, then you as the PI need to certify. Your faculty advisor need to certify. then the co-PI needs to certify. If the co-PI is from a different school or department, then the chair or the dean of your school and the co-PI school needs to certify. So in the live site, I have a note here explaining that to you. So just be careful when you want to make a determination to add somebody as a co-PI. We just make you aware that additional certification, will be required. Again, you have to add these people through Find People option. If they're non-OU individuals, then you could add them. You are asked to download a table from eSpace. Again, as I told you, in Cayuse, we give you all the information about eSpace and the link to eSpace. So we say, okay, go there and download the table. That's the key personnel roles and qualifications. As we said, it's very important for the IRB to understand the role of each researcher and what qualifications they have in order to conduct that role. That becomes really important when there's certain procedures, like the withdrawing blood, for example. We need to know, is the person trained, are they certified, etc. Okay, for the sake of our presentation, I'm just going to say no. The fourth section, we try to find out if you have any conflict of interest, like are you paid by the company that's sponsoring this? Let's say you say yes, you have to answer all these questions. You say no, you proceed. We try then to find anything about funding. If it is funded, you have to answer all the questions. For now, we're going to say no. Then we try to have, for the IRB to better understand your research, we need some background. And then you need to specify the purpose and your hypothesis if you have any. Sometimes with qualitative research, you really do not have a hypothesis. You're going to learn, to really extract the knowledge from the individuals you're observing or you're interviewing. So that is fine. Like we understand that they're different kind of research. Okay, I answered both. So then we come to number 7. Number 7, we try to understand the population, who you are working with, and whether or not is there any vulnerable population that needs additional protection by the IRB. So this is really, it's with children where we start to try to identify if this can go into exempt or not. So we ask you the question, are you doing any work outside of the normal educational practices, that are allowed under exempt category 1? If you say yes, look what happened. We jump from section 7 to 10. Because if you're doing anything outside of what's allowed under exempt category 1, then with children, of course, you cannot, the project cannot be exempt. If we say no, then we try, we try to collect additional information. Oh, sorry. So we want to see, what's your inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria. These are important, actually, more with medical research, or you're conducting online survey that collects some sensitive information. So you have to make sure that it is for adults only, 18 or more. I'm just going to say no to some of these questions. We try to know the number, how many participants you're working with. Are you working with your own students as the research subject? If the faculty says that yes, then they need to provide an explanation as why they're working with their student. We ask if there are any vulnerable population. If you say yes, then you have to identify the population. And for each one of these populations, there are additional sets. So in addition to the 7 approval criteria, the IRB needs to make sure, IRB reviewer needs to make sure they're in place in order to approve a project. Each one of these individuals have additional sets of approval criteria in order to approve it. So if you say yes to any of these, you're going to get a huge subsection appearing. I'm just going to say no for now. Now, section 8 is screening questions. This is, again, we try to figure out, could this be reviewed as exempt, or it needs to be expedited, or it requires full board review. The number one that this decisive factor is the risk. Would the project involve more than minimal risk? You say yes, then we jump right away to section 11, which asks about recruitment process. Because if it is more than minimal risk, it cannot be exempt, it cannot be expedited. You say no, then you get a bunch of additional questions. I'm gonna quickly say no to everything, just so we can proceed. And all of these are things that are maybe not allowed under exempt or not allowed under expedited. So I said no to all of these screening questions, and you see I got the exemption categories. We covered these in details last presentation, last Tuesday. These are the categories, you know, educational, exemption 1, exemption 2, survey interviews, exemption 3, benign behavioral intervention. So again, you know, when you click on one of them, then you need to, you know, keep on clicking in order to make sure that the criteria, you know, this exempt category applies to your research. As I told you, category 1 through 4 are the mostly used at Oakland University. Let's say none of them applies, so I can show you the expedited categories. These are, last time I know we just said there are 7, and these are decided by the federal regulations. Here they are. I told you these are outlined in the application. Here they are. They relate to some clinical studies under certain conditions, collection of blood, collection of biospecimen through non-invasive procedure, collection of data through non-invasive procedures. So you see, really, like 1 through 4 are mainly clinical. Then, you know, we have additional collection of materials or data. Number 6 is when you're trying to have a library of recording, whether videos, you know, imaging, etc. It's not just when you are recording for transcription purposes, you know, you're conducting interviews and recording, or for just observational study. This is a bit more than that. Number 7 is really what's mostly used at Oakland University under the expedited categories. These are projects, they involve, you know, behavioral research that did not fit under any of the 6 exemption categories. So if project doesn't fit under any of the exemption categories, you come to expedite, and your project is minimal risk, then you can select expedited category 7. And if it is, you know, none of the above, then it's the same, because really next we go to the recruitment process and so on. For the sake of time, I have completed a project before. Let me see, this is a project number 4, this one. So I can show you all the 20 sections of the submission. So as you see, you know, with any online system, you can close it, come back, you know, my project appears. I like this panel, my task, because right away it tells me what's pending my action. So I wanted to show you number 4. I click on it. Again, the flag, it's unsubmitted. It's my initial. Here is the number, here is the title, etc. And to proceed, I can either click on edit or I can click on complete submission. Any of these will take me to the application. If by mistake, I created this by mistake, or I'm gonna change it, I can delete it. I can delete a study or submission as long as it has not been submitted to the IRB. When it is submitted to the IRB, you cannot delete it as a researcher. You need to submit withdrawal submission. Okay, so let's click on complete submission to show you how I completed all the sections. So we were at recruitment, number 11. So as we said, this is all of your advertisement, recruitment email, ad, posting, social media post. The IRB needs to see all of these, and you will need to attach it, in the section. Then we try to understand the consent form. As you see, with every section, we try to provide you with some instructional notes at the beginning. So we guide you to our templates that are in eSpace. We ask you to download it and use it as the template for your consent form. And so on. I'm just gonna quickly just cover that. Then we try to understand the procedures. So you have to respond to the procedures. If so, completion time, what you're doing, if there's things you need to attach, like your data collection tool, your survey. You say yes for doing internet research, you're going to get a subsection you need to complete. You say yes, for example, to using medical record, you're going to have a HIPAA section to complete. You say yes to using educational record, you're going to have a FERPA section to complete. So you see, based on your responses, you may or may not get either additional questions or additional subsections. For the sake of this presentation, to show you how we can route this, I'm going to uncheck all of these. Then we try to understand research location, where is it being done, is it international, etc. Then we try to, IRB needs to understand, are you offering any participants any research incentive for participating in the research? Again, we provide you with a lot of information, and we want details, what you're offering them, how much, when would it be given, awarded to participant, etc. And then we have a couple of sections related to the privacy of the individuals, so that while you are collecting the data, while you're interacting with individuals, how you're protecting their privacy. And now after you have the data, you collected the data, how are you protecting the confidentiality of the data? So we ask you about the storage, sharing, what's the data security you have in place. And of course, like if you have identifiable data or sensitive data, you need to really, show the IRB how you're protecting the sensitive or identifiable data from any breach, and especially if it may be, the breach may cause harm to participants. So that's really important. Then we have the risk benefit section. You also need, to respond and tell the IRB what's the risk, how you're minimizing risk. And as we mentioned last time, IRB looks at all kinds of risk. With your research, there may be informational risk, confidentiality risk, because you may be collecting some sensitive data. And then we try to see if you are under any additional regulation. And these are really usually clinical. So you could just say no and proceed. And then we get to section 20, which is how to submit. So section 20 is also informational and how to submit this form. So we explained it in the production side. I made it very clear that there are 2 steps in order to complete your submission. So we say click on routing, complete submission, and then you have to click on the certify button. However, as you see here, I'm at the end and I'm not getting that routing option. Why? Then I have to go back up to see, did I miss the check mark in any of these sections? I missed it in number 13. Let's see. Okay, I have. Okay, so now I completed. See, I missed this required the question. Now it is completed. Okay, let's me double check. Yes, all the section have the check mark, and look, voila, routing complete submission appears. Okay, so now if I'm the student PI, I did my best, in completing all these sections. So now I'm gonna click on complete submission. Cayuse, they have a lot of these confirmation steps. Yes, I'm sure I wanna submit it. So remember, that's number 1, okay? We said there are 2 steps in order to route this, to advance this in the system. First, you click on complete submission. Now the flag changed. It tells me it's awaiting certification. It's really now awaiting my certification as the PI. And so here is the certify button on the right. I have to click on the certify button in order for this to be routed to my faculty advisor if I am a student PI. A lot of people miss this step. They click on complete submission and they think they're done. And I know it's confusing. We gave feedback to Cayuse that, you know, having something on the left and all of a sudden, you know, you have to remember to go to the far right to click on certify is really not very intuitive. So we're hoping maybe when they, you know, in the near future, maybe they can make it a bit easier. So remember, what's my number? 22.4. And look, it is still, these are our 4 panels. So really, it left in draft, and now it is here in awaiting authorization. These are the same panels, you know, we saw on the dashboard. So now I need to click on certify, then I get this, I confirm, you know, that I'm gonna do everything as stated in accordance with the IRB approval. If there is anything, I will report to the IRB. Any changes, I will submit to the IRB. So this is the assurance, you know, I need to attest I'm gonna follow the regulation. When I click on confirm, then I am done. Look, because I am Frank faculty, like in this submission, so I'm a faculty, I don't need faculty advisor. Look what happened to the flag. It tells me it's awaiting org approval. So now it's awaiting the approval of the chair of my department. So you see, it's still in the second panel awaiting authorization. So let's say my my chair approved it, and it got advanced in the system and submitted to the IRB. The IRB, whether under peer review or if it is exempt to project, conduct their review and they have comments, and all of a sudden I get an email notification that tells me the IRB, you know, your project has been reopened, it's been marked with the comments from the IRB, and each Cayuse notification includes the instructions that you need to know in order to complete that particular step. I made sure, so everything I'm going to explain to you next, you will find it in that email notification that you will receive from the IRB when the project is sent back to you to make changes. Same when you certified the project, then Cayuse sent automatic notification to your faculty advisor to say, you know, you need to authorize this, and also the message has the instruction to the faculty advisor as what they need to do in order to certify the submission. And the same with the chair or the dean. You know, when it's time for them to certify, they get notified by Cayuse, and all the instructions are there, and the link to Cayuse, you know, in order for them to log in, just follow the instruction and do the certification. Okay, so our next step now is to take a look. Let me just quickly go back to that PowerPoint presentation just to show you where we are. So we logged into Cayuse, we created an initial, you know, we created a new study, and then we created an initial submission. And the initial submission got, you know, we did the routing and routing complete submission and certify. And then we talked about adding people through find people option. We said that all members, in order to add them, researchers, in order to add them to Cayuse and appear in the find people option, they need to have oakland.edu account and add it to the system. We talked about the status flag. We talked about the initial certification, you know, for the initial submission. We talked about the PI and the co-PI and their org approver. There are notes for researchers who are also the chair. Then they need to change their role. You don't have to worry about that. Early on, when we implemented Cayuse, none of our researchers were receiving these automatic email notifications from Cayuse. And we really fixed the problem because everything was going to spam, to the spam folder. and that's been fixed. So, but just in case, if you complete a submission and you do not receive a message of automatic notification from Cayuse, please check your spam folder. Okay, next I'm going to show you how, where you find the IRB comments and how to respond to these comments. So I have a project number 44. So I'm still Frank faculty. Now I got an email notification that tells me that project number 44 been reopened, and please address the comments from the IRB, and what you need to do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then again when you're done, how to complete the submission and then certify. So here is, I log in at Cayuse, I go under my task, and here is the project. Okay, so the flag changed, it says it's reopened. I'm still, it's my initial submission number 44. And just to show you quickly, now there is a task history, when I completed the submission, when I certified it, when my faculty advisor or my org approval certified it, when it went to the IRB, etc. So here you start to have, the history that builds up through the life of the project. Okay, so I need to access the project again, either from edit or from complete submission. I'll access my projects. Okay, and look what we see. So you see in some sections, the check mark has disappeared, and instead we have a bubble with a number. That means the IRB has left comments in these sections where the bubbles appear, and the number inside the bubble reflects the number of comments that are in that section. So really, it seems like, mainly these two sections. So let's take a look. So key personnel. So you see there is, right here, it says expand comments. And there is a, number 1 in it. So there is a comment here. So I'll read the comment. It's asking me to do certain things. I say, okay, I'll do it. I see, that I missed that. And just to show you, like, ignore all this just because I used it before. So you can reply to the IRB. You see, you get something similar to a Word document. You can bold your response. You can bullet your response, number it. If there is a need to attach something, you can attach it again. You have to do the same way, add a link or a document. And when you're done, I encourage you to respond. It just helps us all to know that, like, even when it comes back to us, I see that you made the change or you addressed the issue or clarified it, etc. And then when you're done, you click on save, to save your response. And you need to make sure to change the status of the comment from not addressed, from the red not addressed, to the green addressed. When you do that, you see the number of comments went down. That means you address this comment. And then you need to scroll down to address the second comment. For some reason, I don't know why today, there is some problems with the training side. It's not letting me scroll down. But this is how it is. You go to the sections that have comment bubbles. You take a look at the number of comments, then you try to find them within the section. You respond, you make the changes that you've been requested to make, then you change the status to address. And when I address the second one, which unfortunately for some reason I'm not able to access, this is like as far down as I can go here. Then what happens, the number becomes 0 and the bubble will disappear and the check mark will appear again. So when I address all the comments by changing the address button and all the check mark appear, then towards the end on the left column, I will get routing complete submission again. So I click on it and then I have to click on the certify button in order to resubmit the the project to the IRB. So here again, all the steps, it will be reopened. You look at the bubbles and the number of comments, you respond, you save, you can edit your response at later time if you want, as long as you have not submitted it back to the IRB. Then you change the status, you click on complete submission, certify. When addressing IRB comments, only one person needs to certify. You do not, so either the PI or the co-PI or the faculty sponsor or the person who created the project. We try to give researchers more flexibility at this stage, because really at this stage in addressing IRB comments, you do not, you do not need your chair or dean approval again. That is needed at the very first time you submit your initial submission. So this is how we address IRB comments. Before I go, I want to show you an interesting thing here, which is when you're looking at IRB comments, another way that makes it easier for you to distinguish, the changes you have made is this compare function. You click on compare and it compares your initial submission to the changes you made at this time. So if we scroll down, it's not letting me scroll down. I'm sorry, something wrong happened to it. But I'll show it to you on a slide. If we scroll down, see, it tells me I did 4 changes in this section. See, it's 0 changes in all the other sections. So in this section, I did 4 changes, but they usually appear in different color. So I'll show you that on the slide. Okay. So then, I do complete submission, then certify. Then let's go back to when I certify, then it's gonna go back to the IRB. At this stage, if I made all the changes, I addressed all of the IRB comments, then the project is really ready to be approved. The IRB would issue an approval letter, and they will date stamp my consent form or my information sheet that I'm using as a cover page, for my survey, for example. Then at this stage, I get notified. Cayuse, when the IRB approves the study, Cayuse email me. Actually, the way Cayuse is set, it emails you the approval letter. And what happened at this stage, approved projects will disappear from these 4 panels and will appear under this one, approved study. So let's take a look at an approved study number 54. So here is my approved study. So in it, I only have, my initial submission. So let's take a look. I click on it and you see it's a green flag, review complete. It's been completed. It's been approved. Now look, I have a new tab called letter. This is where I find my approval letter from the IRB. I can, open it. It's a PDF file. But remember also that the same letter was also emailed to you. Cayuse emails it automatically to you. Let me go back here. Also under, these IRB date stamps, we access them through attachment, and all this information is outlined in your approval letters. And when you receive the approval letter, we tell you about the approval. If the approval has any expiration date, it will be also in the letter. We tell you where to find, if you want to save a copy of the letter, we guide you to come to the letter tab in the submission, and where to find, to go to attachments, to download and to save the approved version of the consent form at this time. Great, so I'm done, I have approval. Now I can start conducting my research. Another thing, like I forgot to mention earlier, that you can download your project, your application as a PDF file, but really this is a huge document, because for online system, as you know, sometimes like a sentence or 2 sentences will be on one page. So it's really very long document, but it's available if you would like to have a PDF file of your approved project. So the project is approved. I'm working on it. I'm, doing consenting participants. I'm collecting data. And then all of a sudden, I feel like, oh, I really would like to add more researchers, more people to work with me. Or after reviewing, some of the results, I feel I really would like to add another section to my survey. Or maybe adding another survey about these topics will give me more information, as long as, of course, it's the same purpose, it's the same project. So then we can, I can do post-approval submission. And to go back to our PowerPoint presentation, so I showed you where to find the IRB letter, where to find the date-stamped consent form, and now how to do these post-approval or these subsequent submission, post-approval submission. And here I have a question from you guys regarding renewal. So please note, under the regulation, if your project is determined exempt, the exempt means it is exempt from the regulation as long as you conduct the research as it's been determined exempt by the IRB. So it has no expiration date. And as long as you're just doing the same things you told the IRB you're doing, you do not need to come back to the IRB. However, as we said, if you want to do some modification, revise your survey, change your interview questions, whatever, then you need to come back to the IRB and submit a modification submission. Renewal are required, renewal are required when IRB approval is limited. And these are usually the projects that involve more than minimal risk, like full board projects. Under the regulation, IRB approval can be granted for a maximum of 1 year. We can grant it for 3 months, 6 months, but a maximum of 1 year. Then when the expiration date, before approaches, Cayuse start to send you automatic notification that this project is about to expire in 60 days and 30 days, etc. And that you need to submit a renewal submission in order for the IRB to conduct a continuing review. Remember last time I mentioned to you that the regulation changed in 2018. Under this revised regulation, post 2018 requirements, the federal government also eliminated continuing reviews for most expedited projects. So projects that have minimal risk and the IRB reviewer really have no concern that he wants to see this project again, then expedited projects do not have expiration date and you do not need to do renewal. And you need to come to the IRB either to do modifications, to make changes to approve the project, or for example, if something wrong happened. I don't know, we mentioned last time, I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but let's say you're doing online survey and you said you're gonna use 200 people and you're gonna have, give them like, $10 gift card, Amazon gift card. Then your survey got hacked and you ended up with 20,000 responses. So what do? This is a case that you need to report to the IRB. Even if your project is exempt, you need to report this incident to the IRB. You complete an incident report and we work with you to resolve the problem, to figure out the problem. So as I told you, really it's out of us working with researchers that we came up with that guidance I showed you on eSpace regarding, how to minimize hacking of your survey. So let's do, one of these post-approval submission to show you how to do that. So I logged in as a Frank faculty. And in this case, I'm not going to submit a new study. I'm not doing a new project. I need to go to my approved study, the one where I would like to submit a modification. So since we used project 54, let's go back to this project. Okay, so now I'm within the project that's been approved. You see the flag green, approved. This, you know, my initial submission here, it's been approved. Now I'd like to do new submission, and see now I have multiple options. I can do renewal if I am under you know, expiry, you know, if approval, you know, expires. I can do modification, etc. So let's quickly do modification. I just realized we went over time, but just quickly, this is the last thing I'm gonna show you. So here now I am in, you see, I am in the modification. My flag is submitted, the same title, the same IRB number. So now let's click into complete submission in order for me to do my modification. So what happened? Again, I'm not able to scroll up and down. Sorry if this is a problem. But actually I have at the top, I'll have section 0, and section 0 is my, let me do this at least. Yeah. Section 0 is the modification form. So in the modification form, we ask you to provide us with a summary as what changes you'd like to make. And then you have to make the changes within the sections. So let's say, for example, I want to add key personnel. So in my approved project, I said I have no key personnel. So I'm going to say, yes, I'm going to add a key personnel. And I'm going to add Judith as a key personnel. Okay. I just want to show you how it does. So I click on the plus, save, and then Judith is here. Oh, it's not, I don't know what's wrong. It's not giving me that compare function. At the top, if I'm able to scroll up, there is that compare function. If I click on it, I'll get, you know, these two sides, and I'll be able to see the changes I made. So it looks like this. I have a, so it's similar to what we did earlier, where it didn't let me scroll down. And now it's not letting me scroll up. So it seems like there is a problem in the system. So I told you on the left side, you get the modification section. So you complete that. And now here on the slide, we're in key personnel section. And you see when I clicked on that compare function where I showed you earlier, where it appears like up here within the submission, now everything I added as new is going to appear with color. Things I deleted, I think they appear in like one color, maybe blue, and things you add, they appear in green, like you see. So it's really very easy for you to distinguish what changes you made. So let's say sometimes the IRB have multiple comments, you know, comments in multiple sections. And you don't have time to address it all. So you can address some of it. So I'd like to make sure that you address everything. You can click on that compare function and you see what changes you made. So really that's, I'm really sorry. I don't know why it's not letting me to scroll up or down, like this one, up or down. This is really weird. But this is how it works. Like if we were able to access the compare function, it will split the screen. It shows me the original one that's been approved on the left, and on the right, it shows me the changes I made in color. So it's really easy for me to make it. Then when I'm ready, I scroll down, I click on complete submission, then certify, and then the modification is submitted to the IRB for review. If the IRB have comments, it will be reopened again. I address the comments as I did. I see, you know, the comment bubbles in certain sections. If everything is fine, I will get an approval letter from the IRB, and I'll be ready, don't save, I'll be ready to proceed with my approved study. So actually, that concludes the topics I wanted to cover with you today regarding using of Cayuse. As we mentioned, there are a lot of helpful information and modules, training modules through our webpage. And again, this is my contact and Kate's contacts. Please, if you have any questions at any time, contact us. We will help you. Okay, now it's not letting me go back to Cayuse, to Zoom. Okay, let's try again.